We do a roundtable session, and there's about 15 tables in that room, and it's just a good opportunity for everyone to hear about a 30-minute, here's our state agency, here's our group, here's the services that we offer you. And the benefit there is to make good contacts, especially for new officials who aren't aware of these state agencies and what they offer. And so they can go to these short roundtable discussions, and they rotate every 30 minutes. And it's a quick opportunity to exchange business cards, so when they get back, maybe they learned about a grant program or a service that they can use in their community, and they now have that person's card, and they can follow up with them afterwards.
Our roundtable discussion deals with the Mississippi Arboretum Trail. And the reason this is important to communities because it creates quality green spaces in communities, attracts more visitors, enhances quality of life, and it's just a really good asset for the community. We know that trees and landscapes enhance property values, clean air, clean water, and all of the other benefits that are generated from trees and landscapes and communities. Also, it gives you a place for your citizens to go out and exercise and have a healthy experience getting out in the fresh air. And especially during these days of COVID, it's important to have places in your community where families can get together and enjoy nature and be outside in the fresh air. And this is just one more of those opportunities. Also, as far as economic development, it's another way to bring in visitors to your town. And the more visitors you have in your community, the higher the sales tax. They're going to spend money at restaurants and hotels and shops. So a lot of ways that it benefits the communities. But what the Arboretum Trail consists of, if your community would like to have an arboretum, the Mississippi Urban Forest Council will help you set up an arboretum in your community without any cost to you. So if you're interested in being on the trail system, there will be an official trail system with each of the arboretums throughout the state pinpointed on that trail. So it'll link to your community website.
What kind of success have you seen around the state?
Last year, we set up 16 new arboretums throughout the state. And wow, was that a job doing 16 in 1 year. But it was great fun, and the communities love it. We also put educational kiosks with arboretums. So it creates an educational center as well for students and adults alike as to what they might want to consider planting in their yard.
Today's roundtable is occupational classification and compensation for local governments. The reason it's important is it helps with internal equity pay, employee retention, and updating job descriptions, employee handbooks. It's a whole deal, but it's all human resources studies.
What advice do you have for municipalities around Mississippi?
Well, it helps streamline internal pay equity within your organization. I guess one reason why it's important right now is currently with the current labor market and the labor shortage. This helps everybody get their pay in line, so everybody's competing in the labor market much better, especially for local government compared to the private sector.
Our roundtable discussion today is about ways that you can improve your small towns. And that's important, obviously, because I think we all have a vested interest in improving our communities in Mississippi.
What kind of a success have you seen so far?
Well, we've been at this for about 40 years, so we've seen success, short-term and long-term success over the years in a number of communities. The Small Town Center is a community design center in the School of Architecture at Mississippi State, and it's important because we provide design and planning services and research about small town challenges.
We're here at Table 3 with regarding the right-of-way and tower leases. We're going to be discussing ways for local governments to understand the do's and don'ts of negotiating a tower lease in regards to rent, construction drawings, modifications. We'll have some warnings about some do's and don'ts of extending leases with certain provisions that could hurt the lease, as well as cable franchising opportunities as well.
Why is this important to the public?
Well, for cities, it helps a lot with generating additional revenue for the future, and and maximizing the use of your right-of-way.
Our roundtable today deals with the Mississippi Campaign for Grade Level Reading, and this is super important because we need all children reading on grade level by the end of grade 3, and we want communities mobilized to support families and children to achieve that goal.
Tell us, how does Mississippi rank compared to other states in this effort?
Well, In 2019, our fourth grade national reading scores were second in the nation. We achieved the most growth over the past 2 years since it was assessed in 2017. So we are making progress, but we still have quite a ways to go.
What can communities and municipalities around Mississippi do to encourage this effort?
So we want stakeholders, community groups, individuals, all working together collectively to ensure that they're providing this, as communities are providing support for families and children to help meet that goal.
Our roundtable discussion today focuses on the planning development districts. There's 10 of us in Mississippi. We all cover a certain amount of counties. We're basically regional community and economic development in your area. We'll talk about many different things today. We have a lot of different programs that we manage or we can assist our local governments with. This is an election year, so there's a lot of new officials, so I think it's even more beneficial this year. We do many different things. We're involved in a lot of economic development projects, whether a company is expanding or locating in an area. We help the local governments obtain state and federal funds to make those things happen, such as job creation, private investment. We also work a lot on the community development side, which may help an area get sanitary sewer service or safe drinking water, things like that. It also involves some housing, and we have some business programs, revolving loan programs, where a small, medium-sized business can actually apply for funds through our agency through loans, which is really a gap financer based on how much they have, the bank has, and how much we could loan them. We also do a lot of programs for the elderly and disabled. Basically, if you can provide the care to the home to keep someone at a nursing home, we have some programs that are either directly involved or that we manage that can help make that happen, and that loved one can stay at home. Meals on Wheels, homemaker services, personal care service, Medicaid waiver program. Some of the programs are through our area agency on aging, which is human services funding, many different things like that. And we have a lot of small towns in our districts. We have 28 municipalities, and we help them with pretty much anything they may need. It varies a little bit throughout the area and population, but if their police department needs a car, we can help them apply for that and different things like that.
Our roundtable discussion is about helping communities with their infrastructure needs. So we offer loans and grants to cities, counties, to help them with their infrastructure needs. So we have grants, which is basically free money, and then we also have loans with low interest rates.
What kind of success have you seen so far?
Oh, we've seen lots of success. I would say the most success we've seen is the sewer infrastructure and the water infrastructure needs of Mississippi. So we've helped them to, in some cases, totally redo their water infrastructure and their sewer infrastructure. We've helped give citizens who've had no water, believe it or not, get clean, fresh water. Some of them were on very shallow wells and had no access unless they were to buy bottled water from the store, and some of them are very low income, and that was very difficult for them. So our grants and loans have made a huge difference in that area.
Our roundtable discussion today is economic information and analysis for Mississippi communities. I work for the Mississippi State University Extension Service, and what we do in a lot of cases is do a lot of economic analysis for small communities across the state, whether it's retail analysis, whether it's trying to figure out who's moving into the community, what kinds of income they have. We do a lot of water and wastewater rate analysis for them, just to give them an idea of what's happening in their community, particularly for those communities that don't have the capacity to go out and hire a large consultant to come in and work with them.
How valuable is that to the communities in Mississippi, particularly the smaller ones?
The smaller ones seem to think that it's very valuable. We've had a lot of feedback and a lot of comments on the economic profiles that we put out. We put out 7 series of annual profiles and 1 series of monthly profiles for the communities in the state, and we typically get 15 to 20 comments every month back that folks like that. So I think that it's been very valuable for the communities. I was just talking to an economic developer that has used those profiles and is looking to get some more analysis on maybe some retail or other types of economic activity for brownfield development. We've done a lot of work with some of the planning and development districts and given them some information and analysis and things, so it seems to be very valuable for them. It's just a very well kept secret. Not a lot seem to know about it.
Our roundtable discussion today deals with what programs that we have at Department of Wildlife, Fisheries and Parks that we can offer to the cities and communities, such as recreational trails program, land and water, grants, something that can help the community in projects that they may need a match for.
What kind of success have you seen so far with those programs?
Lots of success. We have trails and land and water projects around the state. So it's a very popular program. The match on recreational trails is 80-20, so it's beneficial for anyone to participate. And then a land and water grant is 50-50. So if there's a match out there, this is a good opportunity to get some capital improvements done and things like that.
Our roundtable is about the 2020 census and how this impacts the state of Mississippi. As we know, with the recent release of the 2020 census, we saw that Mississippi was one of 3 states that lost people within the state. So how do we understand this population loss, where it's occurring, and how can we make sure that we get enough federal funding in the state of Mississippi?
What kind of an impact is that going to have?
It has an economic impact. It also has a social component as well, understanding why are people moving out of the state? What can we do to attract people to stay within the state, especially those between the ages of 18 to 34? What else can we do to attract people from outside of the state to relocate to the state of Mississippi? Because it does have financial ramifications for many counties and small towns within the state of Mississippi.
Our roundtable today for Mississippi Veteran Affairs will be focused on different ways that we can help municipalities reach their veteran constituents and how we can help them get constituents into our nursing homes, information on our cemeteries, Montgomery GI Bills, post 9/11 GI Bills, our claims division, and how we can help them with veteran town halls and ways that we can help their citizens in their cities.
What type of initiatives is the Office of Veterans Affairs having in Mississippi when it pertains to veterans?
So we are doing a couple new initiatives. The biggest one is workforce placement. We have done a council where we are going to be pushing out an opportunity for different veterans from around the state to partner with different companies throughout to help them find better high-paying jobs. This is our biggest initiative that we're pushing at this time.
Our roundtable discussion today deals with 2 things. One is our apprenticeship program. We have a federally documented apprenticeship program. And in our industry, we are seeing lots of our water and wastewater operators getting at the retirement age and not no new ones coming aboard. So with this apprenticeship program, it brings in better prepared operators. The other thing we will be talking about is our emergency response cooperative. We have a cooperative that is made up throughout the systems and towns in the state of Mississippi that will respond to emergencies or disasters when they happen as a cooperative.
I attended the grant table that talks about different grants and how can we get grants for the community, build infrastructure, and the roads in the community. And I enjoyed it because it's going to help us get more grants, more loans, which will be good for the community.
I went to the small town round table and learned what they can do for our town and put stuff like splash pads and stuff like that in our town.
Was it valuable information?
Yes, valuable information to help our town out, and I can take it back to the community and share it with others.
I went to the roundtables, and one of the ones that I attended was the occupational and salary compensation table. And one of the things that I learned is why it's important to compare salaries, look at job descriptions, and how that particular organization can come into our city and help us.
What other ones are you going to attend?
I'm hoping to, another one that I've attended is the travel and expenditures. That was with Mr. Tom Chain from the state auditor. Learned a lot of interesting information and some things that I hope to take back to our city, other board members that couldn't be in attendance.
We visited the Stennis table, table 12, for the occupational classification and compensation studies. And there was a lot of valuable information that just links us with information about what other agencies are paying all throughout the state, other cities, and it gives us a firm foundation to make decisions moving into this next budget year on our department heads and all of our administration and where we're at pay-wise. We want to offer competitive salaries in our community so that we can retain our employees. And right now, it seems like it's so hard for everyone to find employees. We want to be on the edge of that, the cutting edge. And at this point, we're looking for every avenue to find out information so that we can make good, firm decisions moving forward.
It's the Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks, and they put out some really good information, gave us some opportunities to expand, add to, and come through with some good ideas about improvements.
Will you be able to take that information back home?
Oh yeah, definitely.
This is my 4th year. We didn't come last year, so the 3 years before, and this is my 2nd term. Just learn something new each time I come to take back to make my community better.
I attended the one on MDA about grants, what would help the city, and I'm from the city of Picayune, would help the city to apply for grants to help the community as a whole.
How valuable was this information?
Very, very, very valuable. Very.
And I'm a newly elected mayor. Some of my expectations are we're really looking into automatic meter readers. We want our meters to automatically digitally read. That would really progress our town. Also, start accepting debit cards and credit cards, and online payments is something I want to bring to our town also. I would like to learn just how to really construct board meetings and just be really educational on what do's and don'ts for our board meetings.
Have these educational sessions at MML been helpful in that area?
Yes, they have.
I'm the newly elected mayor. I come to MML to get some information, to get focused on things that need to happen in Lula, like the economy needs to grow and the water pollution and everything. So I'm trying to get a lot of things done.
Okay. What are your expectations from attending MML and participating in MML?
Well, to find out about the laws and find out about our chief police and a lot of potential growth in Lula and stuff like that. Yes, sir.
I attended the State Center of the U.S. Census and learned a lot about the census that's just been completed and the tower leases for cell companies.
How valuable is that information, and can you take it back home?
I think we can. I learned a good deal about what you have to do, ask the questions to negotiate with the cell companies to bring in more income for your communities. The tower becomes more valuable to the cell companies than it does as much for the cities. So that's another source of revenue that doesn't come out of the taxpayer's pocket.
I just got the small town table over here. Really interesting information over there. A lot of other small towns, and we really identify with each other. That was a very good table. I really enjoyed that one.
Did you get information that you can bring back home?
Oh, absolutely, yes. Yeah, I get a lot of information at the Roundtable discussions. I love them, and I always try to make as many of them as I can.
I've attended 4 so far: the Mississippi Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks, the the Occupational Classification and Compensation Studies for local government officials, the travel and what makes an expenditure legal, and the Mississippi Development Authority Community Incentives Program. I'd have to say that a couple of them I attended specifically to learn about some grant monies that could be possibly available, because I have some things in mind I'd like to look at pursuing in our town. But the one that I got the most information to help me personally, a lot of stuff that I didn't know, was the travel and what makes an expenditure legal. Because there were a lot of little things that, for instance, I was paid in advance to come here, and I'm supposed to keep receipts, and if I don't spend that $46, I'm supposed to turn it back in. So I want to make sure that I do that so that I won't be in trouble. But a lot of little things: who can use town vehicles, who can drink bottled water, just a lot of little simple stuff. So it's very informative.
I attended the Mississippi Association of Planning and Development, and that was very helpful with some sites, some websites, and some names and phone numbers to contact. We're looking for grants for improvements, some infrastructure improvements, and also extending our city park. which he referred me to the Wildlife and Fisheries table, which there is a grant possibility there that would extend our walking track. I also attended the Ole Miss table here about the census, and I'm going to go on their website, on the census website, and make sure that our census for the town was recorded correctly, and because the census numbers do affect grant money, and because of COVID, they could possibly have been erroneous figures. And then I'm fixing to, well, I did attend the Small Town Center. I enjoyed that one. She told us some things, what we could do about improving infrastructure, the front of buildings, updating some things. Very interesting.
I'm a newly elected Alderwoman, Beverly Oliver from Clinton, Mississippi, and I came to MML to learn a lot of the basic concepts and laws and finance that we need to know as an Alderwoman.
How valuable has this educational sessions been for you?
Oh, excellent, excellent. I've learned a lot of details that it's hard to be taught unless you come to a conference like this.
The first one I attended was about the walking trails programs and the grants that are available for those programs, and that was, we have done something like that in our little town, and we did 2 phases, and we talked about the 3rd phase. The other one we went to was one on water towers and cell phone towers, and it's very valuable information because we had companies come to our town asking to rent or lease, our water tower, and I'm very valuable. And the last one I went to was on the census, which is also very valuable to be able to plan ahead in our little town. I did another one on parks, and it was good, informative. Not quite what I was looking for, but it was very informative. So anyway, that's. It's really, I like these little mini sessions.
Went to the Veterans Affairs, and I cannot really describe how valuable the information was because there was so much information presented that it just really amazed me at the information and exactly the job that they're doing for us, for all the veterans in Jackson. I am a veteran myself and certainly appreciate all the work that they're doing.
Did you get information here that you can take back home?
Oh, certainly, especially about the availability of the personnel in Jackson with the Veterans Affairs that are available to come into our communities and give us valuable information that we just normally can't get just by, talking with each other.
Oh, it's very valuable. Of course, things change. It's good to come here and get up to date on things that, for instance, this time we got the COVID money, so I saw there was a class about that and about the spending of that. So it's good to come here and get that information.
It really was a nice roundtable discussion at the MDA table with Lisa Maxwell, and the information she gave on grants and loans that are available to the municipalities is something that I'm going to take back and make sure that our grant program writer has all the information and where we go from here. And then at the Alan Barfield from MSU Extension Service offering to run all sorts of programs and projects for the benefit of the people in our community, in looking at the economic development possibilities for any ideas that somebody has. Really very helpful. Finished up with Tom Chain and from the auditor's office and talking about deductibility of all the different expenses that are related to what we're doing and rules for keeping the auditors away from our door. So,
I did the wildlife fisheries one over there. I found it interesting to see how much money the state has actually cut from the parks and stuff in the state. I'd like to see that improved because they're so underfunded now. They can't even keep up. I mean, things have deteriorated so badly now that they just need the state legislature to step up and start funding that again.
Did you find information here that you can take back home?
Oh, yeah, entirely. I mean, that's what the whole thing was about, to see what the deficiencies are and how you can improve that.
As a newly elected mayor, I'm here with MML so I can get training in. This is my first term as mayor, so I'm looking forward to all the good information I can take back and make my city productive.
What have you learned so far?
Well, I learned a lot dealing with the issues that cities face as far as illegal dumping, with the money that's coming from the federal government down, with the pandemic money. So I'm learning a lot here.
What are your expectations as a new mayor for MML and the services it provides?
Well, I want to continue working with MML. I look forward to the relationship with MML and just get into learning, attending their classes, all they have to offer, attending their classes so I can be a productive mayor.
I'm a newly elected mayor of Enterprise, Mississippi. Came here to pick up on information we can carry back to the city to help enhance what we already have going on. So.
As a new mayor, what are you looking for from MML in order to help you make your job easier?
Well, just things I didn't know as an alderman, and now being at the helm, so to speak, just to enhance our town.
I've already graduated from my first level of training, so I'm into my advanced training this term, and hopefully I'll get it done in this term. It's very valuable. I just listened to an economic growth program here. The session is very beneficial. It's stuff right at hand, but we don't know how to use it. So we got to learn better how to use what we have, our own resources, right in the community. Get some stability of the people that are around us that want to help us. Sometimes we don't reach out.
Have you found these educational sessions to be valuable and give you information to bring back home?
Oh yes, they're very valuable.
I think along with advocacy, training is probably our number one priority. We feel like as their association, we're responsible for giving them the tools and making sure they understand their responsibilities, and also through advocacy, making sure that they're well represented at the Capitol, and that when laws are passed that affect them, we incorporate that education into our meetings so they understand what changes came from either the state or the federal government.